One night in Argentina, 3 girls are hanging out on a boat. Suddenly the sky turns dark and an aurora borealis appears in the distance. The sea starts shaking and one of the girls rushes inside to check the GPS, but it isn't working. A girl collapses and her friend tries to run to her, but the wind closes the door. When she looks through the window, she notices that both her friends are dead. In the city, 3 men are on their way to their weekly card game at a friend's house. However, the street is blocked by a protest and the crowd pushes on any car that tries to cross them. The trio has no choice but to take another path and eventually they reach Tano's house. He's happy to see Russo and Juan, but he scolds Russo for bringing his brother-in-law Omar. The group spends the night playing cards with Lucas, but they don't let Omar join them, and Tano gets annoyed when Omar keeps touching his stuff. Eventually it starts raining and the power goes out. Everyone grabs their phones and they're shocked to see that all their batteries are dead. Tano's flashlight doesn't work either, so they have to use an old gas lamp. Suddenly they hear some strange noises and Tano's wife Anna comes downstairs saying she saw a neighbor collapse outside. When they look out the window they discover it's snowing, which never happens in Buenos Aires. Not to mention it's summer now. The snow kinda looks like ash and Anna refuses to let Tano out, thinking there's something toxic in the air. As cars start crashing outside, the men try the landline phone, but it isn't working either. The group starts getting afraid, so Tano asks everyone to close every window and cover every hole. Russo touches a window and notices it's freezing. The guys begin discussing the situation and soon it escalates into an argument, so Russo uses the chance to leave the house and pushes Lucas off when he tries to stop him. He only manages to take a few steps before falling dead on the street. Tano blames Omar for Russo's death and the others have to separate them before they can fight. As hours pass, the weather gets colder and everyone puts on extra jackets. They're also worrying about their families. Suddenly there's a knock on the old door connected to the garage. A woman calls out for help, but Tano is wary because she could be a liar trying to take advantage of the situation. The others convince him it's the right thing to do, so Tano gets his gun while Juan breaks the old lock. Inga comes in and Anna takes care of her while Tano and Juan take advantage of the now open corridor to get into the garage. Juan wants to get the car keys, but there's a hole in the ceiling that is letting snow fall in front of the garage office. He moves inside Tano's car and connects a ladder to the office window, then he covers himself with some plastic to climb in. Once he has the keys and comes back, Tano points at the fallen snow, noticing that it changes color after it's been on the ground for a while. The men try a bunch of cars but none of them will start. Moments later the group sees that a neighbor is alive. They try to make hand signals to stop him from opening the window, but it's too late. The man peeks out and instantly dies. When his wife checks on him, the same happens. Seeing this makes Juan even more desperate to save his family and announces he's leaving. The others help him cover his body from head to toes with multiple layers of clothing and plastic bags. Tano has an old mask to protect his face, but Juan turns down the gun. When Juan is about to head out, Omar grabs the gun and blocks the door, saying he wants the mask for himself. Tano easily takes the gun from him and reminds him who is in charge. Afterward, Juan can finally leave the building and confirms the improvised suit is keeping him safe from the snow. As he walks through the streets, he sees hundreds of bodies of both people and pets. The whole city is now covered in snow. A flashback shows all the tenants of a building having a meeting before the snowfall. Suddenly the power went out and a car crashed right into the main entrance. Everyone moved fast and didn't get hurt, but when a man went out to check on the driver, he instantly died. In the present, Juan keeps on finding bodies everywhere while his journey continues. He also hears someone whistling but can't tell where it's coming from. After some more walking, a creepy stranger appears behind him, so he runs until he loses sight of him. Then he enters the station and finds the train frozen on the tracks. All the people who tried to escape are dead, but there are still a few survivors on the train asking for help. Juan goes inside and explains there's nothing he can do for them. He opens his bag to grab the water bottles and discovers Tano put a gun in there too. After giving the water to the survivors, Juan leaves. Moments later Juan makes it to the building with the car in the entrance. He immediately starts climbing the stairs and finds survivors on every floor. Some of them are praying while others are arguing. Inside his ex-wife's apartment, he finds a man stealing stuff. Juan pushes him against the wall and demands to know where his daughter is. Neighbors rush in when they hear the yelling and ask Juan how he survived the snow. Juan freezes when he realizes there's some snow on his bare hand, but it doesn't hurt. The moment is interrupted by his ex-wife Elena, who kicks the others out before telling Juan that their daughter Clara stayed at a friend's home last night and she hasn't heard from her since. The guilt causes Elena to have a breakdown and Juan comforts her. She doesn't have the friend's address but she has the name, so Juan announces he'll go to the school to get the address from the files. When he tries to leave, the neighbors block him to ask lots of questions. He tells them the snow doesn't hurt after it falls and he only survived by covering his whole body. However, they still don't let him move and insist they want to see the mask, so Juan takes out the gun to keep them at bay. On the stairs, he knocks down a man to clear the way and the other guys angrily come after him. Elena asks a neighbor friend for help but she closes the door in her face. The couple runs to hide in an empty apartment and blocks the door with furniture. After finding a body in the tub, Elena begins covering her body with layers of clothes. The neighbors are at the door, so Juan opens fire to keep them out. Then he makes Elena wear the mask and sends her to the school. She jumps through the window and survives by landing on the crashed car. At that moment the neighbors manage to break in, so Juan covers his head with a plastic bag and breaks the window to make everyone run from the snow. Juan escapes through the window but passes out from suffocation. Back in Tano's house, Anna wants to make tea but he stops her from using tap water because it may be contaminated. The men work hard to seal every window with tape or wooden planks. Tano finds Inga handling his gun and takes it back while she explains she's former military. Tired of waiting, Inga grabs her helmet and announces she's leaving. However, Tano stops her and announces he's leaving first with a mask he just put together. He borrows Inga's bicycle and notices the LED light doesn't work, but the one powered by cycling does. Tano theorizes that old things work, which he confirms by connecting a record player to a car battery. Afterward they all wear makeshift masks and reach the fire station, where they collect a bunch of firemen's suits and masks. Meanwhile, Juan finds himself in a trench watching a red light going up in the sky. Suddenly he wakes up and discovers Elena found his friends on the street, so they came back for him in a truck. Tano tells him that old engines do work. Another flashback shows Inga before the snowfall. She noticed her brother's phone had a notification for a delivery, but since he was in the middle of a soccer match, she volunteered to do the job. This saved her life. In the present, the group returns to Tano's house. He connects a radio to the car battery, but no matter what frequency he uses, nobody answers. An argument ensues over what to do and Juan wants to borrow the car to find his daughter. Tano refuses, saying they need to stick together. At that moment a man wearing a welding mask enters the garage. It's their neighbor Benito, who wants to borrow the car so he can deliver supplies to other people with his friend Roberto. Tano refuses and while they argue, Omar takes the chance to steal the vehicle and leaves. After Benito leaves too, Tano tells the others he's not happy to hear Benito is working with Roberto because they had a falling out. As Omar drives through the streets, he sees a red light in the sky and gets distracted. He notices the cars blocking the road at the last second and tries to turn his vehicle, only to crash into a store. Meanwhile Elena and Juan suit up and leave to search for their daughter. They try the first car they find but it doesn't work. At that moment a truck with survivors passes by, so they hide until they're gone. These men find Omar and rescue him. The couple ends up spending the night in the car and the people in the house can hear the looters breaking into the neighborhood stores. Tano keeps trying the radio to no avail. The next morning Juan and Elena finally make it to the school and enter through the window. While Elena looks for the address, Juan searches for an old car that works. He enters a security cabin and when he grabs the keys, he hears the whistling. Suddenly he has a vision of the red light and destruction taking over the city, culminating in a big explosion. He wakes up inside the car, which does work. In the school, Elena hears some banging noises and finds Pablo in a closet. His friends locked him up as a prank. Juan comes back and helps him out, slapping the boy when he's rude to them. The couple tries to tell him what's happening but Pablo just runs away. He only stops when he sees all his friends dead outside. Pablo knows where Clara's friend lives, so he agrees to take the couple there if they promise to take him home afterward. When they make it to the house, they find a bunch of dead people in the garden but no Clara. Pablo freaks out at the sight of the bodies. It turns out he gave them his home address and that's his dead family. Pablo collapses with a fever so the couple stops at a pharmacy for medicine. While they search the store, a pregnant woman bangs on the door saying her water broke. Ignoring Juan's warnings, Elena opens the door and lets her in. This turns out to be a distraction for her armed boyfriend to ambush them. The woman slaps Elena and after taking the bag and car keys, the man locks them in the closet. While the robbers leave, Elena asks if Juan has been seeing visions again. He admits they came back since the snow began. Pablo at first refuses to open the door because he hates Juan's attitude, but he does it when Elena talks gently to him. The couple gives Pablo the mask they made for Clara and they leave together. On the street Juan gets ready to shoot when he sees someone, but it's just a family getting away in their car. When they cross the station, Juan gets on the train and notices all the survivors are gone. At Tano's, Inga comes back after looking for her brother, but she found him dead in the park. She also says she heard some weird noises but didn't see anyone. Tano gives her the gun and asks her to protect the house while he and Lucas go out for supplies. The duo returns to the fire station, only to find Benito and his gang. Benito wants to close all the roads, which Tano disapproves of. He also wants Tano to let them use his garage and gives him 24 hours to make his choice. When they return to the house, they discover a voice on the radio. A man from Uruguay confirms that the deadly snow is there too, and he's heard the same news from Brazil. They conclude the issue is happening around the whole world. Unfortunately, the call ends too quickly. Desperate to talk to the person in Brazil, Tano climbs to the roof to move the antenna, but he discovers his compass isn't working. He rushes back to his workshop to check on other compasses and notices they're all behaving strangely. Eventually the couple returns to Tano's place with Pablo. Tano informs Juan that he's changed his mind and wants to leave for his other house on an island. He tells him about the compasses and concludes that Earth's magnetic field has shifted, so he thinks the world is broken. Juan still wants to find his daughter and they argue until Tano says that Clara is dead and Juan is in denial. At the gas station, the pregnant woman and her boyfriend are taking supplies from the store and gas from other cars. The man hears a noise and looks around with his flashlight until he sees something moving. Suddenly the car shakes and when the woman turns around, her boyfriend is gone. Something screeching breaks her window and she screams as the car slides on the snow, eventually falling down a hill to kill her. At the local bridge, a person in a yellow suit walks at a fast pace. A group of people appears in the distance to cross the bridge too. At Tano's house, the group holds a funeral for Russo. Afterward, Tano and Lucas go to the grocery store to get more supplies. Juan insists he wants to find his daughter and Anna remembers that she recently threw out a bunch of phone books. They retrieve them from the dumpster and Juan finally finds the address he needs. Juan leaves alone on foot, but Tano feels bad and decides to help him in his car. He announces they'll find Clara and then leave for the island together. During the trip, Tano shares his theory. He thinks that the ring of radioactive particles surrounding the Earth has been destroyed and caused the deadly snowfall. Moments later, they find the roads blocked by huge piles of cars. Suddenly they hear a noise and are surprised to see military cars approaching. A soldier asks them to turn back and avoid the downtown area as it has been cordoned off. He also explains the military base is getting organized and help will come soon. There's something weird about the way he talks, so when the military cars leave, Juan and Tano decide to follow them. After crossing a tunnel, the duo reaches downtown and the soldiers open fire at them. They start driving in reverse to escape, but a bus falls from the bridge and blocks the way. The duo goes ahead and drives past the soldiers, only to discover they're shooting at something else. It turns out there are giant bugs on the bridge throwing the vehicles and the military can't stop them. When a man appears in the middle of the street, they turn the car to dodge him and the vehicle ends up sliding on snow. As it rolls, Juan has a vision of the red light and his daughter Clara. The car stops when it crashes into a garage. Juan watches the bugs climb down from the bridge and go after the soldiers, capturing them using tentacles and wrapping them in something like cobweb. Tano helps Juan get out of the car and they rush upstairs just in time to avoid the bugs hitting the garage gates. As they move, Juan continues to have visions of the red light and utter destruction. They manage to hide on the roof and after a while, they take a look around to confirm all the soldiers and bugs are gone. Then they come down and take the fallen weapons before continuing their journey. When a bug appears dragging a webbed person, they hide and watch it drag the body into newly built nests. As they continue to move, Tano accidentally slips and hits a dumpster. A bug hears the noise and comes for them, so Juan opens fire, but Tano's gun is stuck. With an accurate shot to the head, Juan kills the bug before it gets too close. Unfortunately, the noise gets the attention of more bugs, so the duo starts running. Some of the beasts chase after them while others feed on the dead bug. Thankfully, a man sees them and waves his hands to show them where to go. When they reach the doors of a church, people from the windows throw Molotov bombs that light the bugs on fire. The man opens the door for them and they take a hidden tunnel into another room while avoiding the bugs in the main church area. They meet a nun who is taking care of a group of survivors that includes Omar. He tries to say that his former friends are dangerous to get them kicked out. The nun won't listen to him and instead takes them to the roof to show them the red lights. Apparently the bugs arrived in them. Tano concludes it's an alien invasion and immediately starts running intending to escape, but the nun stops him because he'll put them all in danger. In the evening, a group of explorers returns with some supplies, but they didn't manage to go too far because of the bugs. Tano believes that more intelligent aliens must be controlling the bugs. Juan tries to sneak out to find his daughter and is seen by Omar, so he grabs him by the neck to shut him up. Omar tells him that a man named Rengo remembers him from the Falkland War, but Juan doesn't recognize him. Then Omar also shares a rumor about a hidden tunnel at the border between downtown and the suburbs. Juan leaves the church through the back door and begins crossing town by climbing on roofs. He sees the red light and has a vision of the bugs marching towards something. In the church, the group is arguing about their next move. Some people want to leave, but the others think it's too dangerous. Juan comes back and announces he's found a working truck, so everyone agrees they must leave before the bugs find them. While the group gathers their supplies and covers themselves up, Juan talks to Rengo, who won't be coming with them. He and the nun are staying because they don't want to slow the group down. Juan tells him about his visions since some of the destruction appears to match images from war, but Rengo hasn't had any. The group carefully crosses the street while the red lights provide visibility. There's a bug nearby, but it doesn't see them. They keep moving until they reach the border and most of the group hides inside a bus while two men start breaking through an old wall to find the tunnel. One of the survivors is a mother with a baby, who at that moment starts crying. The noise gets the attention of the bugs, but fortunately the men finish breaking the wall and the group rushes to hide in the tunnel before they can be found. Juan stays in the bus with the mother, who silences the baby by feeding him. Suddenly the church bells start ringing, which Rengo and the nun are doing on purpose to distract the bugs. While the group crosses the tunnel, Rengo and the nun spread gas all over the church. Once all the bugs are inside, they throw a cigarette to cause a big explosion that lights the building on fire and kills them. At the border, the group reaches the other side and finds the truck Juan saw earlier. However, when they move it, a bug comes out of the car pile. It drags Tano away, but before it can spit the web, The survivors throw a smoke grenade that scares the bug away. There are more monsters coming through the bridge, so one opens fire while everyone runs to get on the truck. The beasts bring down a sign to climb down, but by then the truck is already driving away fast enough that they can't follow. As they leave, they see the church burning in the distance. Another vision shows a younger one attacking the enemy during the Falkland War. A huge explosion caused him to pass out, and in the morning he woke up in the trench surrounded by the bodies of his fellow soldiers. It was snowing and he could hear whistling. When he left the trench, he found his older self staring back at him. In the present, Tano, Juan, and Omar leave the group to return to Tano's house while the survivors continue driving to the military base. They can see people on the roofs, but they ignore them. Once inside, Juan is shocked to find Clara sleeping on Elena's lap just like in his visions. The family has a sweet reunion while Clara explains she came looking for him because she remembered he had his weekly card game here. Meanwhile, Roberto comes with some of Benito's men, saying they heard rumors about the bugs. When Tano confirms it and informs them they're leaving, Roberto offers a deal, his RV for Tano's house and garage, because they think they can fight the monsters. Tano gladly agrees. Once everyone is ready, the group gets in the RV and Tano notices that the yellow suit Clara used to come here is the one from his boat. As they drive away, they have to dodge a crazy car that is desperately trying to escape from town. Eventually the group makes it to the pier, only to discover there's no water and the area is too muddy to drive through the river. On a fisherman's bucket, they notice a fish is still alive. Omar thinks they should also go to the military camp, but Juan and Tano decide they should drive north to try to find water there. If they don't, they'll consider a different plan. Before leaving, Tano goes to check on his boat. As they continue their journey, they see the crazy car from earlier crashed on the side of the road. The family appears to have been shot. When Clara wakes up, they ask her where she got the suit and the mask, but she doesn't remember wearing any of that. After a few hours of driving, they find a big mall where lots of people seem to be hiding, so they decide to spend the night there. While everyone settles down, Juan admits to Lucas that he is troubled by Clara's return because it feels unreal. Lucas just thinks the situation doesn't let him think clearly. During dinner, most people are happily chatting or dancing, but Juan is wary of so many strangers together. When a neurodivergent boy approaches Clara, she freezes for a few seconds before her hands start slapping. Her parents have to help her calm down and take her away to a tent. Elena thinks they should go to the military base to get help for Clara, but Juan reminds her that he can't go there. The conversation is interrupted by Tano, who reveals he couldn't find his boat. However, he did find the logbook and Clara's signature indicates she took it. Meanwhile, Lucas goes looking for alcohol and hears some weird noises in the next room. The next morning, everyone excitedly goes outside because it stopped snowing. People celebrate the sunlight while Tano checks his compass. He discovers that the poles have inverted and now south is the new north. Anna then realizes that Lucas is missing. While Tano and Juan go looking for their lost friend, a car parks outside and 3 masked strangers come out. Suddenly these strangers open fire, killing a bunch of people. Everyone runs back inside in panic while Juan and Tano return to fire back. Some people are hiding behind cars and the duo sneaks around to help them. With his soldier skills, Juan kills one of the enemies with an accurate shot. The second attacker checks a dumpster and finds 2 teenagers, but he ignores them and enters the mall. Moving quickly, Juan hides behind a different car and shoots the third stranger, causing the body to fall through a window display. When he unmasks her, he sees her necklace and learns she's the mother of 3 kids. Elena is a doctor and checks on the injured people, including the neurodivergent boy. At that moment, Lucas arrives with soldiers from the military base, saying he found them on the highway. When Tano asks him how he reached the highway, Lucas says he doesn't know. Then Tano checks the RV and discovers the gunfight broke it. All the survivors leave on the military trucks. As they pass the highway, Lucas points at the spot where the soldiers found him. He can't remember how he got there and blames it on the alcohol he drank last night. During the trip, they notice the river has water again. In the meantime, the third shooter has managed to escape. He enters the sewers, but the bugs don't attack him. In fact, they move out of the way as if they recognized him. Later, Juan has another vision of himself doing some shopping at the mall and encountering the mother he shot down. She tells him that she's still there in some corner of his mind and asks him not to stop looking for her. He wakes up at the military base, where the soldiers are teaching all the survivors how to shoot. One morning, Tano is summoned by the sergeant, who has heard that he's an engineer and asks him to fix the radio. However, Tano leaves in a huff when he hears they want him to do it downtown. When he bumps into Juan, he explains that the military is planning to bring down the wall at the border by hitting it with a train and send a message from a tower. Lucas is planning to join the team and points out how many people they could save with that message, also saying that if they don't help they'll be in danger and not only from the bugs. His tone is rather aggressive and his friends think he's acting weird. Afterward, more trucks arrive with survivors including Roberto. Tano asks him what happened and Roberto explains Benito and the gang didn't make it. Hearing this, Juan thinks they should leave and get to the island. However, Tano and their wives insist they should stay. Clara needs medical assistance and the island is probably not safe anymore. That night, Juan can't sleep and goes for a walk, but he immediately notices 2 men are following him. One of them is a train engineer and explains there's a station near the base. He thinks they can fix it to reach downtown safely and send the message from the tower, but they need Juan to change Tano's mind. The next morning a group of teenagers holds a little funeral for the neurodivergent boy, who didn't survive the shot. Tano, Juan, Omar, Pablo, Inga, Lucas, and a few others end up joining the team of soldiers to go on the mission. After crossing the river on boats they find the train tracks and continue on foot. During the journey, they see some military planes fly by. When they reach the train station they immediately get to work. Most of the team concentrates on fixing and moving the train while a few soldiers keep watch in case the bugs show up. Luckily nobody approaches them, but when the train finally takes off, they don't see an armed woman watching them from the water tank. Midway through their journey, Pablo and some soldiers leave the train so they can guard the border. A few moments later the train is getting closer to the car wall and the vibrations cause the bugs to come out of hiding. Everyone holds on as the train starts going faster and Juan sings to distract the team, who soon joins him. The train impacts against the pile and sends all the cars flying, creating lots of smoke and a dirt cloud. The team celebrates their success through their coughing. Once they reach downtown, the team continues to move on foot with the battery and they're surprised to see there are no bugs following them. They also notice that the planes from earlier crashed on the ground. The team splits again, with half of them moving the battery to a radio tower while the others go check the planes. There are missiles in a box and Inga finds a map indicating they were flying to the stadium. Suddenly they see a boy in the middle of the street and when they come out to check on him, they find lots of civilians staring at them with blank faces. At the radio tower, Tano successfully installs the radio and a soldier operator sends out a message telling the survivors they can find help in the military. Back at the base, they pick up the message on their radio and the women notice the teenagers are leaving in a car. Soldiers shoot flares to confirm the message was received and everyone celebrates. The excitement at the radio tower is killed when the group notices a blue glow coming from the stadium. Juan thinks they should go check it out, but a soldier points out that the plane team hasn't come back and they can't risk more people. At the tower entrance, the soldiers keep watch until a man from the plane team returns. Upstairs Juan and his team wait inside an apartment, where they find a deck. They start playing but Lucas isn't as good as usual and fails to remember the gestures involved in the game. When the others tease him, he snaps and grabs a knife, which he uses to stab Omar before running away. Juan and Tano chase him to the roof, where Lucas begins talking about someone listening to radio conversations and disrupting the plan. His friends don't understand his cryptic speech but before they can ask for clarification, Lucas jumps. Tano has a breakdown as he watches his friend die, but Juan tells him to get moving because he's seeing lots of people moving strangely on the street. As they run downstairs, the radio operator and Omar join them, but the guards at the entrance are all unconscious. The group hides on the stairs while the plane team comes back to search the building. Once they reach the outside they see a familiar survivor by the door, but when they call him the man starts screaming to give away their location. A chase ensues and Juan has to open fire to keep the incoming people back while his men close the gate behind them. Soon they reach the train and jump on as the driver makes it take off. The chasing crowd runs after it but they aren't fast enough. Only one man gets close and Juan shoots him down. During the trip, Juan realizes these people were behaving like the shooters at the mall. However, they let them send the message, so it seems it was a trap. He wants to investigate the stadium and the driver-soldier volunteers to come along, so he teaches Tano how to handle the train. Juan can't help thinking the driver looks familiar. The rest of the group will return to the base to warn the others and take care of Omar's wound. As the duo crosses the town, they hear gunshots in the distance. They search the area and find lots of people standing frozen in the park until some trucks come to pick them up. The bugs are walking around these people, who are shooting weapons as part of their training. Then the duo enters an abandoned building and Juan has his visions again, which show him all the things he's been living the past few days. When they look out the balcony Juan realizes why the soldier looks familiar and his visions match the events. He's already lived all this. Suddenly a gazebo starts glowing blue and the alien creature behind the whole operation appears. It plays a soothing melody that controls people's minds to make them its minions. Juan sees teenagers in the crowd and realizes Clara's behavior means she's been mind-controlled all along. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.